Hey folks, hope y'all been well. I just wanted to tune in real quick to go over the inventory, if you want to call it that. I think it's fair to call it because that's what it is. So just kind of in the spirit of the, whole entire local compute, sovereign systems and ownership, that's kind of why I want to go through this because I've got cards here dating all the way back to the 2012 Kepler generation, which is EVGA GTX 660. And over to my left here, you can see it, if not I'll point to it in a minute, is an RTX 5080 from the Blackwell. So that spans about, I want to say from 2012 to about 14 years of graphics cards, innovations, and so you call most of them upgrades, expansions, improvements, and just kind of following the trend of overall evolution of system computing hardware and software. So just to take you down the line here, I've also got this one here, which is a Titan GTX Pascal. Is another pretty old one, but a solid performer from its day. So I'll set that over here for now, because they are quite tightly slotted together. And then next I've got this here, which is the 90 series, I guess you call it the 9 series. It's an EVGA. Again, they're my favorite, I gotta say, as far as appearances go, of all the cars manufacturers or aftermarket modifiers. I'd say still to this day, even though sadly they're no longer in business. So this one here actually renders 1080p at, I want to say, about 50 to 60 frames a second still today in 2026. It takes a 14, 8-pin plus 6 solid card here, and just a smidge up from that is the 9080 Ti. This one's actually quite impressive. It does well over 60 frames a second in 1080p. So you're not going to want to try to use these to run any 1440 or 2160, 4K gaming instances, or any of these for that matter, if you're running any local compute, local AI, or anything like that. I've actually got two of these. I just, kind of want to be a collector, but also a short-term collector. This is actually the classified series of the GTX 980. And so this one runs pretty solid, although beware the spikes in temperature. So that's something that I've been pretty much working on card by card, is kind of tearing them down, cleaning them up, replacing thermal pads and things like that. There's the other one. And then I really went haywire on the 10 series. So I've got a GTX 1070 here. This one's actually a great find on eBay because the seller included everything with it, including the original CD-ROM with the drivers on it. So surely the day will come when Nvidia says, kick rocks, good luck. And that CD is that one thing, that one physical artifact that, they can't take it back. And so you have it. And also, I think I'll point this one out here, I guess, because it's worth it. These are also 1080 as well. This is a 1080s, the 1080s, different form factors. This is an R1SC. This is another EVGA. I, again, love their look. This one here is a ROG-Strix. This is the 1080 Ti, 11 gigabytes. So this actually took up to, I want to say, 356-bit bus width. So you get a significant bit more bandwidth on this one. And this one actually, I want to say, breaks well into 100 frames a second in 1080p gaming. This one can run 1440. Just make sure if you have one of these, you find up an old one of these. If you do want to run it for that, don't plug it in and look the other way. Make sure it runs, well, solid, smooth, and stable for thermals, voltage, and everything else. You don't want to be hitting ceilings of voltage and thermals, especially thermal. Thermals are a little more noticeable with these older cars. I think just because they clock so high, overclocking was much more prevalent in those days. And then taking us up here, this is where we move into the age of ray tracing. And this is a 2080 base, not a Ti or Super. I've actually got a show you another video, 2080 Super that's liquid cooled. So anyway, this one runs very well. It's again, be mindful if you're going to overvolt or overclock this to watch the thermals on that, especially these GPU hotspots that can break into 100 Celsius or more if you're not cautious. And then we're going to move into the Ampere architecture. This is the Founders Edition of the RTX 3070 Ti. This one runs 1080p without a sweat, 1440 no problem. It could break into the 4K, but it'd be on the very, very lean end. So, but it'll do it. And jumping around a little bit here, this Radeon Vega 2, another one from, I want to say 2018, runs, I think it's RDNA. Well, I guess it's Vega's before RDNA, pardon me. So yeah, the Vega 2. So this one, as long as you just find your drivers and get it set up in your system, and unlike me, you're not swapping back and forth through Nvidia, Radeon, and architectures across 14 years, you probably have less issues with driver stability. This example here is actually a data center card, Radeon Pro V340. What's interesting is this is 16 gigabytes of HBM2, so much higher bandwidth. And in fact, it's not really 16 all in one consolidated setup. So this is actually two 8 gigabyte cards in one. So it don't let the name mislead you. It's going to give you 8 and 8. And this, I got to say, has got to be my favorite looker of all the cards well, other than the 3090 version, I actually just sold of these. So this is the RTX 3080 FTW3, I believe, by EVGA. Very clean. I didn't have to do much at all with this. Got this on eBay as well. A very, very good price. Very proud of that. I actually have the second one of these right now in the Threadripper build. I'll show you a little bit later. And this card is a beast too, because it's got a 918 gigabyte a second bandwidth, benefiting from the same bus width as the 3090. So there's really no difference at all between the chip cut and the bandwidth of those two cards, save for a few clocks. And so, granted, this is 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 versus the 24. It will produce pretty much anything you need from 1080p to 1440 to 2160 gaming, and it can do a pretty good job with that VRAM and loading a good bit of local AI work and other compute. I think it's got a pretty solid T-flop for FP32 and even double precision for FP64. And I can go briefly on these. So I've got a few data center cards here too, a few inside. But I guess the point being, a K80, P100, another P100, and M10. The M10 being Maxwell actually has 32 gigabytes of VRAM in it. So I think it's GDDR5 or HBM2. So I would have to check that one. I know these P100s and KD are HBM2. So again, with that bandwidth, you get 762 gigabytes a second, namely in the P100s of bandwidth, which is not shy of maybe 200 gigabytes a second from the 3090 series in the Ampere. And given how much older these are, being Pascal, it's impressive. And just showing you this briefly, there is a version that's called the GP100s. They put a G before it. And if you look here, it's got DisplayPort outputs and a internal or integrated blower fan. So that's like, this card is basically this card less the headaches plus about times 3 in the pricing. So, pick your battles. I just picked up one of these and 3 of those, so you know how I picked mine. Over here, got the 5080 in a secondary system that I do intend on getting more use out of. And so this is actually an Antec case. I love this case. It's massive. So that's kind of why I benefit from it, because it'll take these larger data center cards here with the blower on the back, the custom mount. So yeah, I want to show you that and just quickly walk over here. And you can take a look at what we have in the Threadripper system. So if you'll notice here, well, number one, I've installed AIO cooling. Finally did away with the air cooling. It's Texas. It's getting hot. is out in the garage, and not for long though. It's going to get too hot unless I air condition and finish the place. So, and also 64 gigabytes, 8x8 of Kingston Fury UDIMM. So even though this is an ASUS WRX80e SAGE SE Wi-Fi motherboard, you're not limited only to ECC or error correcting registered server RAM. It'll take your run-of-the-mill, consumer-ready UDIMMs, unregistered. It even has a configuration in BIOS to run the DOCP setup for overclocking the the Threadripper in the RAM. I'm not saying that's a great idea to go out and do when you build a system that relies heavily on stability, but it's definitely something doesn't hurt to be aware of what your systems can do. At top here, I got a RTX 4090 PNY XLR8. That's kind of the furthest I've gone. You could kind of argue the 5080 Blackwell is further in architecture, but as performance goes, I'd say the 4090, well, I'm not saying it, it just is, pretty much runs the day, with it's got the 384-bit bus width, but the number of shaders it has, I mean, it walks circles around anything, of course, but but for one, the one that I don't have, and again, for good reason, I will not participate in this insanity that's like to the Beanie Baby trends of 1998. So, and at bottom here, what do you know? Surprise, surprise! Another RTX 3080 FTW3 from EVGA. I just can't get enough of those. This one actually, for one reason or another, renders the RGB in kind of a more rainbow flowing pattern versus the one I showed you that was out of system, that when you fire it up, it runs red. So there you go. That's a summary of most of the cards I have right now. There are a couple inside that we can talk about a bit more, but just want to catch you up. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, like, subscribe, please. Definitely trying to keep it going, and we'll talk again soon.